start recording as well. Assalamu alaikum everyone. So let's start. Just tell me if I am audible and if you are able to see my screen. I'm just on my tablet screen now. I'm on this Chrome screen. So is everything visible? Am I shifted to Chrome right now? Everything is good. Okay, nice. So just hi, assalamu alaikum Riyan. I was thinking that you were stuck in some rain or traffic. Okay. So in the second session, if you remember that we discussed what are identifiers, what are keywords and these things, and to go a little further, because I just will ask a few basic questions, maybe you will see to test your understanding कि तुम लोगों ने कितना understand किया और उसके बाद तुम लोगों ने कितना उस बारे में थोड़ा सा पढ़ा है. The first thing that you can see, are you able to see my code cell in here? I'm highlighting some things. Yes. So out of these three, for example, if I run this line 1, so will it run? So is it a valid, what can I say? It's a valid identifier. If I run this line, the first line. So what do you say? If you see line 1 in there, is it a valid identifier? Okay. So if I print, for example, print and then value of A, so what will happen? So what will be the output? Yes, you can see in the screen it is 1 because A is a valid identifier. As we saw that it does not break any rule, or it follows all the rules that we have seen. So is this a valid identifier? Let's call it 4. I want everybody to interact. So I'll comment the first line, tell me about this line. So is this a valid identifier? Okay, so what should be the output then? 4? So if we run this cell, so here we get the 4 output. So do you see some strange things happening here? So why is it showing 1? Because we are not actually printing this one. Right. So that's why it's showing 4. Just let me admit these people. So all of the things that are shown in the cell 1, they are the perfect identifiers. There is no mistake. If you move the second cell, can you tell me which of the 4 is a valid identifier and which is not? Is the first my string 1, is it a valid identifier as per the rules that we saw in the previous session? So second is okay. So how many of you agree that second one is not a valid identifier? So can you explain why? So it cannot start with the numeric, like the digits from 0 to 9, right? So is this a valid identifier if you use this _1? Okay, in the rules, if you just remember the rules, in the rules we wrote that identifiers can start with this _ symbol and this is valid. For example, if I just uncomment it and if I try to print this _, so it should give the value 1. So it is a valid identifier that you can see on the screen. Then let's move to the assignment. So what do you think? Which are the things, for example, let's go to the first identifier. Do you think that this is valid? The first question, is it valid? ABC is equal to. So how many of you say that it is not valid? Riyan is saying it's valid. So you are saying it's valid. So okay. First, there is no syntax error. If you see, there is no syntax error. What if I print this ABC? What will the output? What do you think will be the output of this? I don't want you to run the code. I just want you to just guess what is there and just check your proper understanding, because there you can run it online. Then it actually does not serve the purpose if you just run it the code online. Whatever comes to your mind, if you make a mistake, that will give you a chance to correct it. So what will be the output? You can write it in the comments or just unmute yourself and say. So 1 million. So we say Amir is saying 1 million. So let me run this code and show you. Voila. Surprise. It is showing 100. Because the comma is in here. So this is actually a tuple. If you see, if you remember the thing that we learned about data types in the Python. So there we learned about tuples. So it actually is a tuple. If you put a comma in here without even braces, it's a tuple. Just to check it, we can just print type of this, type of ABC. So if you see, it says class tuple, that this is of type tuple. So you are not allowed to put the commas. Okay, tell me one thing. If I do this, if I put an underscore over here and put underscore, for example, over here, so is it valid now? So Amir, is it valid now? So what will be the output? Okay, so let's give you another surprise. So it's 1 million. So do you see the difference? So why the Python has introduced this underscore is because instead of commas, when you read the code, जब हम लोग ये code पढ़ेंगे, so for example it should be easy 1 million. So in mathematics we write it like this. For example, if we have to write 1 million, we'll write it like this. So but Python does not allow this comma because it has been used for tuples. If you see, हम लोग elements को differentiate करने के लिए commas डालते हैं. But as I said, that Python's inventor, creator, he was a mathematician. So he thought probably for better readability, हम लोग अगर इसके नीचे underscore डालेंगे. So what interpreter does it? It will manually truncate these, but it is for better readability. If you see, it will print 1 million. If you just want to check if it's a number, you can just type the type of ABC and then you'll see it's of class integer. So you can put this as well. Okay. So what will be the output of the second line if you see it? So first thing is it valid? If it's valid, what will be the output? Rian, can you say is it okay? So how many are saying that it is not valid? Just raise your hands. So rest are saying that it is valid, huh? Let's see, and we'll print this ABC. This actually is not valid. We'll see that why. If you see it, this is invalid syntax. So there is nothing, like you cannot have spaces between the identifiers. If you remember the rule of identifiers, you cannot have space. You can have underscore though. You can have other digits or maybe some alphabets, but you cannot have spaces. If you put a space, then it is not a valid identifier. Okay, so this is not valid at all. So what about this? What about the third line? So is it valid? If it is valid, what will be the output? So it is valid. So can I say, Mahvish, what will be the output of this? Third line. You are on mute. Can anybody type what will be the answer? Zubair also joined. So what will be the output of this third line? And if it is valid, what will be output? If it is not valid, then what is the reason? The output will be 1000, only 1000 or 1000, 2000, 300, all of these will be the output. What do you think? 1000 and 2000. If you see that this is not just one identifier. The thing is these are three identifiers. If you see multiple assignment statement that we read previously, we can assign multiple things. I told you this A will get assigned to this 100, B will get 2000 will get assigned to this B, and 3000 will get assigned to C. So the output should be 100, 1000, 2000 and 3000 because this is a multiple assignment statement. Do you recall that? So let's run this. So you can see 1000, 2000 and 3000. So you have to be very careful. That's why why did I do this exercise? To increase your fundamentals, because when you have good grip over your fundamentals, then only can we move forward and we can probably do better in the more advanced concepts. So what about this? So what will be the output? So is it valid though? It is valid. Okay, so what will be the output? If you just recall the first thing, it's pretty much similar to first one. Now this is a valid identifier and this is a single variable. This is not multiple variable as we had separated in here with commas. Here we have an underscore. So this is a single identifier, a single variable. So this will be treated as a tuple. So it will be 1, 0, 0 should be the output. So if you see it, it is 1, 0, 0. So I hope it increased your understanding to some extent. So tell me about this thing. Now which of these 4 options? So we cannot use it as a variable. In it, on. So which of them cannot be used as a variable? Just type it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and tell the answer. Which thing cannot be a variable? Nice. So in the identifiers, we said that keywords cannot be used as identifiers. So this in cannot be used as a variable name. Okay. Again, moving on data types that we saw. Can you see which of these is not a core data type? And we saw some fundamental data types that are built in Python. So we read about all of these actually. So can you just see which of this cannot be is not actually a core data type? Did we read about lists in the previous session? इसके बारे में हमने पढ़ा? Dictionary, tuples. So we haven't touched class, so that means this is not the core data type. Okay, so ये वाला इसमें core data type नहीं है. To just revise and brush up the concepts that I'm just like interacting with people to just enhance your understanding. So what will be the output of this thing? I'll call out a random name, maybe Rian. So what should be the output? It should be error. Okay, so how many of you agree that it should be error? Just raise your hands. Can you explain, Zahid, why should be an error? So it will print apple. So who is speaking? Sharika. Okay. So in the previous session, if you were there, we said that the strings must be enclosed within single quotes or double quotes. Here you can just see this is not enclosed in single or double quotes. So interpreter will just throw an error. Why? Because it won't get assigned. Neither this is not a data type actually. Neither this is a string nor it's an integer. ना ये numeric में आता है किसमें? So it should be a syntax error basically. So if you see, name mango is not defined because it does not identify as anything. But if we just put double quotes or single quotes around it, for example like this, then now it is identified as a string. Now it should print mango. Okay, so is this thing clear? Okay, tell me about this. So we have a is equal to 1, 2, 3, hello, 1. What type of data type is this? It is a list. Nice, it's a list. Yes, it's a list. So tell me the output of this code. I will call out a name. Sharika, can you just tell me the output of this code? So what should be the output of this code? As first, initially we are saying a variable a is equal to 10. So it should print this line, welcome to AIML. Okay. The first thing, there was an error, let me correct it. So Zahid, do you agree that it should print this, welcome to AIML? Jahangir, what do you say? Zubair said that there is a actually indentation error. If you said in the previous session we started with this indentations. So I told you that we have to indent this code. So if you run it, it will show this expected indented block. Because we have to give. No, there is an error. So you cannot say overall code is right. So if there is an indentation error, there is an error. So if you write this code, it won't actually work. So you can see it is not giving error. You have to give this this indentation. Indentation means you have to give these 4 space or how many space a tab carries. So these many space you have to give. So if you now print it, now it will print welcome to AIML. Okay. So I think somehow everything was sort of touched in this, and you got some refresher, I'll say, of the things that I wanted to do in this. So let me now switch to my tab screen. Is it visible? It is visible. So let's look at this print function. We started looking at this print function, then we had to stop the session because you were not able to see my screen because it got froze. Before that, I wanted to sort of attend some questions that I received. I think most universities sent me some questions, and some of the students also sent some questions. The first question was, some people are confused whether we should do some AWS cloud computing and stuff like that. The answer to that is, you can maybe also pursue a different career, but I think if you are coming here and if you are learning some new stuff, I don't think that it hurts to learn new stuff. And if you see AWS cloud computing, I won't say it's bad or it's good, that's totally your choice, but AIMLDL, this is today's new norm. Like, people are expected to know at least some basics of it. Whenever you join some company or you do some stuff, so you are bound to know this. So then again I received another question, so how much time will it take for us to cover this material? So I told them nearly it will be 3 to 4 months. That too when we'll be having at least 3 sessions per week. Because I told you the roadmap I gave you is like, I won't be assuming that you know anything. मैं ऐसा नहीं करूँगा कि तुम लोग को ये चीज़ें पता है, so I'll start on that. I'll start from scratch, and from there we'll build on. That's why we are starting with Python. Otherwise, like from computer science people, you will assume that they know a little bit of Python and they know some language. But I want to make sure that you learn these things, so that when you build something, so after that you will be able to know what are we building, and you will be able to manipulate these things properly. So the other question that I received, some people told me that regarding the notes, we have a list of final registered students who had actually paid the fees for us. For them, we are sending these notes, code, and the assignments and graded assignments via email to them. So for other people who have not been able to pay the fees, whenever you will pay, and you will get these things in the email. So notes will be these notes which I am displaying right here, and the code that we write, and the assignments. Because I told you, because assignments will be checked by TAs, and I have to pay these TAs some fees, so I cannot sort of invest the resource on the people who haven't paid. That's why they might have not even received assignment, or we are actually preparing the first assignment itself regarding this. So let's move on to this print function. So now you know how to take an input from a user, और उसके बाद उसको typecast कैसे करते. You learned all of this stuff. Now you have to print it on the screen in somehow. So for that we have a built-in function print. So here I have written that it actually is a fundamental function. It actually is a fundamental and versatile and built-in function. By built-in I mean you don't have to write the functions this function on your own, क्योंकि तुम लोग functions भी खुद लिख सकते हो. But here you can just call this function as it is. So for example, we saw this print hello world. So this will print hello world. If you give a name Alice and then age 30, and if you print these two lines, it will print the name is Alice and the age is 30, something like that. So we actually did this in the previous class as well. Okay. Now moving to the output formatting. Why did I want to tell you how to print things on the screen? Because you just have to print the things. Because sometimes you have to format the things. So तुम्हें कुछ properly दिखाना है. For example, you want some space, it should be on the left, it should be on the right side, or it should be centered or around that, or there should be some special symbols or things like that. So you have to format the input. So for that, I wanted to show you what are the different methods by which we format the output when you take input and you want to show the output in a certain way to a user. So for that, we have what is called as output formatting. Okay. So in output formatting, it's all about presenting the data, how you present the data in the structured and visually appealing way. So for example, I can show you some numbers which won't make sense, but if I structure them, so that will be visually appealing and that will be easy to understand for you people as well. The first thing that we will be using is called as app strings. We also will be using string.format and all the old style percentile which you guys are using from the days when you learned C or C++ programming. First thing, let's see how to actually format this, how to format the output that is to be presented to the user by using the app strings. So if I go to the code window, if you see, I think my code window is visible. So the first thing is I'll use these app strings. So if I want to see, initially how I did is I was printing, for example, Alice and Alice's age. So you can see directly I needed two print statements for this. So when I had to do this, so if I run the cell, you will see the name is name is Alice and age is 30. But if I want to show like this, the name is for example, person's name is Alice, person's name is Alice, and her age is and her age is 30. So now you can see I used what is called as f strings here. So f, the syntax is like this: you have to put an f, then a double quote or a single quote, then you can write a string that you want to output. Then you can see in these curly braces you have to write this variable, name variable. So for example, if you don't write this f, then it will throw an error. So if you again see how I'm writing it, I'm writing f, then inverted quotes, then I'm telling it to print the string that I want to print. Whenever I want to print anything that I've assigned the values for, these basically are called placeholders. These things, they're called placeholders. So I am just putting a placeholder in here. So the placeholder actually has a name here, so Alice will get printed. Then her age is, again I am putting another placeholder. The age is 30. So if I run this, you can see person's name is Alice, her age is 30. So do you know how beautifully we are formatting this? So because we just had this information 30 and Alice, so we had to put it in a better way to the user. जब भी कोई user तुम्हारी website या even तुम्हारा software use करेगा, you will see some clean lines coming up. But we have to write these things. For example, जब हमने बताया कि कोई किसी का नाम Alice है, उसकी age 30 है, then we'd like to print a statement like this. For this, sometimes we use f strings. So f strings, use the syntax, we'll put initial start with the f, then we'll put the single or double quotes, then we'll write the string that we want, and there we'll be having these placeholders. So this is one method in which you can give a structure or format what you want to output. Then we have what is called as string.format method. This format is also a function. So if you see this string, it also allows you to format what do you want to output to the screen, or what do you want to output to the user in the similar way. For example, if you see it here, name is Alice, then we are 30. So output is like this. So formatted output is like this. So we are saying name and then putting a placeholder. I say this is called placeholder. Then age, again a placeholder. Then we are saying formatted and giving the arguments a name and age. This name will go in the first placeholder, this age will go in the second placeholder. Then we are printing this format output. So if I show you my code screen, it's like this. So you are first formatting the output, then you are printing it on the screen. So for example, if I want to say like a residence, so where does Alice reside? So I'll say for example New York. So if I want to create that person's name is, I'll put a placeholder, okay? Person's name is a placeholder. Her age is, so I'll again put a placeholder, and then she is from, then again I'll put a placeholder. Now in this format, I'll have to give this residence as the input as well. For example, I'll go press Ctrl V. So now I'll print this formatted output. So now the expected output is person's name is Alice, her age is 30, and she's from New York. So if you see that, person's name is Alice, her age is 30, she's from New York. What if I just change these parameters? For example, I'll keep this name here and I'll keep age in the front. So what will happen is, I said that mapping is 1 to 1. You can see that this first placeholder will get the output what is here in the age, and this second will get what's in the name, and this third will get what's in the residence. So now we'll have a jumbled output if you see it. Name is 30, her age is Alice. So you have to take care of this, how you format this. So this should be in order. So you cannot put these things in out of order. So this is the second method by which you can also format your output when you format. The first method was by using f strings, and the second method was you can use string.format method. Is string.format method clear?
Yes, sir.
So,
Nice. Again, then we have something which we call as old style format by percentiles. If somebody is from C or C++ background, so they might know that we put some percentile F, percentile D, or some things like that. Okay, and then we'll output. If you see again, see this Alice and 30. Now we'll format output like this. Percentile S means we'll put a string in here. Percentile D means we'll put an integer over here. So similar thing, this is also called as placeholders. But now we use these percentile symbols. S means string, percentile D means it is an integer, percentile F means it's a float, things like that. So I hope I don't need to again sort of explain this because this is self-explanatory now. I'll just run that code cell in order to show you this. So here percentile s means it is a string. The name, it is string, and age, this is a number. So this is an integer. So if you run it, it will show name Alice and age 30. Now the question is, if we have to align the things. Yes, sure. Kisme? You can just print it. You can do it right here. You can just output it here. So this is just one additional statement. This will also run. It will have no problem. Even in here, you can also delete this line and you can put whole of this in print. Just to make to explain you, I just wrote it separately and then put it. You can also print it like this. There is no error. Okay, so there won't be an error. I was just assigning it to a variable so that you understand it clearly how it is done. So I'm also printing it inside the print, so there is no problem with that. Okay, is that clear? Okay. So sometimes what do we want to do is, sometimes we also want to shift values. For example, we want to set alignment, we want to set width. So if you have done, some of you have done web development, there you will put some, for example, I want left width like this. I want the text to be aligned at the center, to be at the left. For that we have also like this alignment and width. So for example, if we have value 42, if we want to print it by having that it should be aligned on the right side with the width 5, then we'll put it like this: print f value 5. So it will have nearly 5 space over here, or 5 width of 5. So you can see it like 5. If I just remove, if I write 0 in here, so it will be like this. Value will be like, if I put 10, so the 10 widths will be given to this. So it will be separated from the value, and there will be nearly 10 space. It depends like how width is defined in it. So here I just consider these spaces as the width. So you can see, if I want some more space, I'll just put 15 or things like that. So I can align it, I can like bring it on the center, bring it on the left, some things like that. Then we have what's called as precision of float numbers. So what I mean by precision of float numbers is, for example, if I have a number like this, 3.1486984 something, it is going on, but I don't want to display this big number. Okay, so I want to only display these 2 digits of precision. That's what is called 2 digits of precision. I want to show the number till a certain degree of precision. Degree of precision means how many digits after this floating point you want to show. Okay, so you got the concept of degree of precision. So I'll write it down: degree of precision. So degree of precision means how many numbers do you want to show after this floating point. After this floating point is there. If I want to show only 2, I'll say I want to get 3.14. That's 2 digits of precision should be there. If somebody wants to get 3, he'll write 3 digits of precision 3.418 like this. By using f strings, we can just put this 0.2f if you see it. So 0.2 means like after this floating point, just have 2 digits, 2 floating point values. It will display up till 2 decimal points. So for example, if I have this, if you can see my screen here, let's add some more numbers. So I have 19.9942 something like this. I just wanted to display 19.99 because this people usually don't care about these many numbers. So I just want to have 2 digits of precision, or I want to show 2 decimal points after this point. So you can just write price, then you can say dot 2f. If I write 3f, it will show 3 digits, 3 decimal points after this. You can see it like 19.994. If I write 2, it will show 2 digits after this floating point. Okay, then the formatting can also be done by str.rightJust and ljust. It means like how do you want to show it at the right, at the left, or at the center. So you can also do like this. For example, this is right justified. This r means right and just means justified. How much do you want to get it right, and how much should it be at the left side, how much should it be at the center. So that you can do. For example, this Alice, if I want to print it and I want to adjust it, I want to move it towards right by the margin of 20, say for example. So I can run this, and you can see this Alice, it comes at this, like there is nearly some 20 gap. So actually we need for that, how these gaps are done, you need to understand the format of a page. So I'll just consider that, let's say 1 space means 1 adjustment. So if I put 30 here, so you can see it will move again towards the right. So if I want to print go to the left, I'll just write left and maybe for example 5. So you can see 5 because leftmost is 0 is here. So if you move more left, so it means that you are going out of the screen as well. So it won't move. It won't move actually behind a certain point. So I can also put L center. So str.center. So name actually is a string. So I'll just put center. So I'll call it. Center means it will show it at the center. So we have to, and yes, if you have to get if you, for example, got this error, you should be willing to just copy the error and paste it in the Chrome, because sometimes documentation does change. For example, if there is a function which is deprecated, so you can say here str says like somebody would have got this error, self.diverse value, and you will have to figure out these errors. Maybe I think this function is now deprecated, they don't want it to be centered because they have enough functions of this. Left and right is it is okay to have this left and right, because center they might have deprecated this function in the Python 3. That's why I'll always say, whenever you get an error, just see if this function even itself, if it is a valid function in Python 3. So most of the time some functions don't work even. If you sometimes read code of others, they might have used functions, but when you run that same code on your machine, the problem could be that जो Python 3 है उस वाले में वो function deprecate की गई है, that the function is deleted, because for example they might have justification कि rjust or this ljust say it was enough to have these, so they might have deprecated this function. Okay, so I think you now know how to format this output if given an output, so how to format it properly on the screen. So you might have even seen on the websites or even on the softwares कि कोई चीज़ corner में आ जाती है, कोई चीज़ for left में आ जाती है, कोई right में आ जाती है. That's how they do this formatting. Is that clear? So is the formatting whole thing clear to you now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll move to the most important thing of Python, that's operators. Because now the thing is, we know some basics. So in the basics, what we learned is, first we learned, basically we're somehow learning how to टेल कंप्यूटर व्हाट टू डू. तो उसके लिए हमें थोड़ी उसकी लैंग्वेज जाननी पड़ेगी. तो उस लैंग्वेज के लिए हमें फंडामेंटल जानने हैं. तो फंडामेंटल्स के लिए हमने क्या पढ़ा कि इसमें कौन कौन से कीवर्ड्स है, हाउ टू डिफाइन दीज आइडेंटिफायर्स एंड व्हाट आर द रूल्स ऑफ आइडेंटिफायर्स, एंड देन वी सॉ कि कितने डेटा टाइप्स कितने हैं इसमें, एंड देन वी लर्नड अबाउट दिस. नाउ वी नीड टू मैनिपुलेट डेटा. Okay, the whole point of programming is to manipulate data. So you have to do certain operations on the data, you have to perform something on the data. If you just know how to take data and you don't know how to actually operate or manipulate the data, probably it's of no use. So now we are in a position जहाँ पे हम लोग data ले सकते हैं, जहाँ पे हम लोग data को ये कैसे format करना है वो जानते हैं. Now the most important thing that we want to do is how to actually manipulate the data. How to manipulate the data. By manipulate I mean how to process the data. अब तुम्हारे फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक बंदा बिल्डिंग बना रहा है, इफ ही इज मेकिंग ए बिल्डिंग एंड ही हैज ऑल द रॉ मटेरियल्स. नाउ फॉर द रॉ मटेरियल्स ही शुड मैनिपुलेट द रॉ मटेरियल समहाउ. ही शुड मिक्स सीमेंट एंड वाटर, then have bricks put in the proper position to make a wall or to make a house, to build a building or things like that. So similar thing happens here. Now you have the power to take data, you have the power to format this data, you know what the data types available in Python. Now how to manipulate data, how to manipulate that data, that is done by the operators. Okay, so operators, they're actually special symbols or special keywords, I'll say. Not even they cannot be say keywords because sometimes they are not words. So they are, let's stick with the symbols. So they are special symbols. For example, if you see this star, it's a symbol. If you see this plus, it's a symbol. If you see this slash, it's a symbol. So these sort of symbols, we call them operators. So what they do is they perform some operations. Okay, so operators, they perform some operations. Operators, when given to a data, they'll perform some operations. Python actually supports a wide range of these operations. They are called, some are called arithmetic operators, some are called comparison operators, some are called logical operators, some are called assignment operators, bitwise and more. If you understand this part of the lecture today, I'll be saying that I got successful, because sometimes you will have nitty-gritty confusions in these, and then when you code, you will have a lot of problems in that. Okay, so first we'll go with the arithmetic operators. So by arithmetics I mean you will do some mathematical operations on that. In the arithmetic operators we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, then we have division, then we have something called as floor division, then we have modulus, then we have exponentiation. The addition is pretty much clear. You will add two things. You will add, for example, 2 plus and 2 plus 3. You can add these things. Subtraction is also the similar. Multiplication is the same. Division and floor division, I'll explain it. I'll just show the example of the first maybe 3 things, and then we'll move to division. So if you see in here, I have defined a variable a which I assigned a value 10. So when I do this, so the picture that you should get in your mind, whenever I define this a is equal 10, so your picture should be like this. So there is a computer's memory, so some 10 object is being formed, and it is being assigned to a value a. Okay, then b is formed, so it should be like this. 3 is an object, basically it got assigned to this b. So this is how actually the image should be formed whenever I assign something. Then I am writing some result. Some result is in the variable. So some result is a variable. So first what will happen is this a plus b will happen. So whenever the expressions are evaluated, they are evaluated from right to left. So it will go from here. So first it will evaluate this a plus b. So it will go to this location a. So here it will see 10. So it says we have 10. Then it sees plus b. So it goes to the b and it sees 3 and it will add 3 to this. So it will temporarily create a location and call it 13. So now it sees an assignment over here. Okay, when it sees assignment and it will assign it to something. What will it assign it to? Then it sees a variable named sum result. That's the picture you should be getting when you see the code. The beauty of the coding is you should know how to read code. It's not that you should give it the interpreter and you yourself should know how to read the code. I'm saying whenever you evaluate expressions like this, you should go from right then towards left. That's how I went from here to here. Okay, so here on the left I had a plus b. The first I'll evaluate this, and then I'll see some result. I'll assign it like this, and similar will happen for the subtraction as well, and the multiplication will be pretty much similar. And then if you see division as well, so division and floor division, if you see, there is a little bit of difference. So if I divide 10 by 3, okay, so there will be some floating point arithmetic will happen. Floating point arithmetic it is called. So 10 divided by 3 is some 3.333. It will go on. So if I just go to the code window, you can see, if I just print out this division result, a divided by b. So I'll just copy this and I'll just print it out. So the result I expect is 3.333, something like that. You can see it. The difference between this division and the floor division is that by floor I mean, for example, if you see, there is a function actually called as floor. Let me just put some light on this floor. If you have a value 3.4 and you write floor like this, there is a function called as floor, which is in mathematics that floor is written like this. Floor means just truncate out this 4 and write whatever comes below it. Below it there comes 3 integer. There is another function called as seal. If I write 3.4 and mathematically seal is written like this. So seal means whatever is above 3, you should write that integer. So seal of this is equal to 4. So here it is called as floor division. So we have 10 divided by 3. So this is actually like this. This is actually floor division. So it will be 3.333 floor. So what should be the output?
3.
What should be the output? Like, did you understand this point? Did you understand this part? What is the meaning of floor? Floor takes the lowest value. For example, we have 3 and we have 4, and in between there is 3.3. So by floor, I mean it should take value 3. So it actually performed the division operation. Then it took the floor value. That's what it took, this 3 value. If it was a seal division, there is nothing like seal division in Python though, but you have functions such as seal. So by seal, I mean it should have 10 divided by 3. If I perform seal on this, so it will be equal to 4. So the expected output that I am expecting here is 3 if I perform this floor division. If I print this floor division over here, you can see it will just truncate down these digits. Okay. For example, if I have even 15 by 4, if I first have this normal division like this, so it will be 3.75. Now if I print out this floor division, so it will be just 3 because it will just truncate down this 7.5. Okay, is this clear? Is this difference between division and floor division clear? Floor division is written by using these 2 double slashes. If you see it, here we have these 2 double slashes. Here we have a single slash. So this floor division, it outputs actually an integer. If you see, or this outputs a float. We can clarify that as well. For example, just going in here, floor division. If we write type of this, so it will be an integer. Should be an integer, but you never can trust on programming language. They can spit out anything. So here it says it is of type int. So that float division gives an output of integer values. So similar, if I say division, I expect it to be a float. It should be a float. You can see it. It is a class float value. So you should know all of these details, because when you perform computations, then sometimes you see I expected a value of 5, but it is showing 4.98. What is happening? So then you must have these nitty-gritty details in your mind. कि यहाँ पे problem हो सकता है. Okay, so you must sometimes might have performed some integer division जहाँ पे उसने truncate कर दिया, it missed out the part. So that's the difference between this floor division and this division. Then we'll move to the modulus operator. I'll just clean this stuff up. Okay, this modulus operation. So what do you think modulus is? Have you ever used this operator, even modulus? Have you even heard of this operator?
Yes, sir, in C
Sir,
language.
even and odd.
So what does it do?
Remainder.
The remainder, nice. It gives the remainder. Do you know why it's used, this remainder? Why do we use it? This modulus operator? It is used in computer security. If you see, if you know, if some people of, if some of you know RSA algorithm, or if some of you know, for example, the algorithm is like DSE or DES it's called. So there are some cryptographic systems in which you use this modular operation quite often. So by modular operator, you will see what is the remainder. If I, for example, divide 10 by 3, so it perfectly divides it. 3 threes are 9, so it just keeps 1 as remainder. So 1 is left. So here I expect the remainder should be 1. So this operator, modulus operator, basically gives you the remainder. If you perfectly divide, then what is the remainder? If I just move on the screen, I'll just have this mod result, and I don't need to print type because I say it's integer, so you can see it. 10 divided by 3, that is what we were doing, and we're expecting a result as 1, so you can see 1. So this basically gives the remainder. And exponentiation, does everybody know what exponentiation is? Exponentiation basically means you raise something to the power. For example,
No.
if I raise 10 to the power 2, this is 100. So similarly, the exponentiation in here is these double stars. You will say a raised to power b. So in Python, I'll write a double star b. Even you know, you can also use in the Google this, because Google search engine is on Python. Let me show it. So I'll just open Google and I'll say 2 star star 3. So it should give me result 8 because it's 2 raised to power 8. You can just print it. Did you see it?
Sir, it's not showing.
Okay. Just let me change it. Like I just typed 2 star star 3 and then pressed enter. So can you see the result 8 on the screen? Yes, now you can see that 2 stars, they were changed to exponentiation. Now you can say that Google's calculator was built in Python. Okay, so when the Google built and they had changed this exponentiation, they started operating into this. Actually, C does not allow you to do this. There are functions, special functions that you have to write. Okay, this is the exponentiation. You can perform exponent. If I say 10 to the power 3, the result should be 1000. If I just print it, the result should be 1000, that you can see in here. Okay, I think arithmetic operators are clear now. So we have majorly 6-7 arithmetic operators. The first one is sum, and then we have subtraction, then we have multiplication, then we have division, floor division, modulus, and exponentiation. By these you will be able to manipulate data. You will be able to because you will add something to the numbers, or you will subtract things to the numbers. But the most famous question that you might have seen, what is the precedence? Precedence means in what way will the expression get evaluated? Okay, if I say you, for example, there sometimes people put these questions and then they ask questions 2 multiplied by 4 minus 3 plus 6, like this. Okay, so what should be the output? So there we have to go to the rules of precedence. Rules of precedence are the rules which show which things should be evaluated first, followed by what things, to give the answer. So if you see, Python follows standard mathematical approach. First it will evaluate what is inside the parenthesis. So it will first evaluate what is there in the parenthesis. So as I have written here, for example, if I write an expression like this, 3 plus 4 multiplied by 2, first 3 plus 4 will get evaluated. Okay, just So I'm saying precedence of operators, whenever it is not showing, just tell me that, because I have to switch the screen. Sometimes I miss to switch the screens. I'm saying, for the, if you write 2 multiplied by 4 minus 3 plus 6, and somebody asks you a question, so how to evaluate this? Some people will say, I'll perform the multiplication first, then I'll perform the subtraction. Some people will perform the subtraction first and the multiplication later. So in order to resolve this, we have what are called as rules of precedence. Rules of precedence. Rules of precedence says that in which order should we evaluate an expression. So if you see this expression, so this is 3 plus 4 multiplied by 2. What I said is, Python basically follows the rules of precedence what is defined in mathematics. So you can see first it evaluates what is inside parenthesis. So here what should get evaluated first? This 3 plus 4. So it should be 7, then multiplied by 2. The answer should be 14. So first, because we will care about parenthesis first. But then we'll care about exponentiation. If there is an exponentiation, for example, if we have 3 plus 4, then we have multiplied by 2 plus 6, exponentiation by 1. Our exponentiation by, for example, let's say 2. So first it will evaluate this expression, what is in the parenthesis. Then it will move to this. It will evaluate what is there in the exponentiation. So that's what the first precedence goes to parenthesis, then to the exponentiation. Then the multiplications and divisions are done because they have same precedence basically. So whatever comes to the left, for example from left to right, so it will first pick the left one. So but multiplication and division, they have the same precedence. For example in here, if you see, if we have 5 multiplied by 3 divided by 2, so it will first multiply then divide. If we have 5 divided by 2 multiplied by 3, it will first divide then multiply, because it goes from left to right while evaluating the expression. Okay, so but multiplication and division, they have the same precedence. But how will they, if for example they occur in the same expression, then it will go from left to right. It will not go from right. For example here, it will not evaluate this division first, then this multiplication. It will come from left to right, and it will evaluate this multiplication first, then this division. And then we have addition and subtraction. Similarly for addition and subtraction, they have the same precedence. But whatever comes to the left side, it will evaluate that first. For example, if you see this 7 plus 3 minus 2, it will evaluate 7 plus 3 first. If it was like this, 7 minus 3 plus 2, then it will evaluate this minus first. So in the precedence, addition and subtraction have the same precedence. But what will happen is, whoever comes to the left, it will evaluate that first. Okay? So I think it's more important to know, for example, if you want to do, I have committed this mistake multiple times. So I'll tell you what happens, like I was frustrated once. So I wrote a program like this. I wanted to actually compute average of two numbers. A was something, A was 15 and B was for example 16. So what I did is, I wrote average is equal to A plus B divided by 2 in the Python. Okay, just let me show it to you in the precedence. I think my screen is visible. So for example, A number is 15 and we have a number B which is, let's suppose 78, and I want to perform average. Average is equal, I am saying A plus B divided by 2. A plus B divided by 2. Let's keep it simple. I'll just have some simple numbers 10 and 20. So what is the average of 10 and 20? If I perform 10 plus 20, that's 30 divided by 2 is 15. So I expect
15.
result to be 15. So
Sir, stuck again.
I think now it's visible. Print average. So here I have a number A is equal to 10. I have a number B is equal to 20. I want to average these numbers. I want to find the average. I wrote A plus B divided by 2. So I want to print average. So how many of you say that the value should be 15? The output of the code should be 15. How many of you? Just raise your hands. Sharika को लगता है कि value should be 15. Other people, what will be the value? What do you say? 20. Right. Why would be the value 20? Because precedence of operators, because division will happen first. So this is the common error which I faced when I was coding. So you can see the value will be 20. So in order to get the average, we have to put these things in the parentheses, because then only they will get evaluated first. Now if I print it now, it will be 15. Is that clear? So just take care of these things. If you want to perform some things first, then other things later, you must close them within parentheses. Because it's a really...
Sir, one question.
Yes.
Sir, the answer was 15.5. It was floating point. Why was it float?
That's what I'm saying. Division gives you the answer in floating point, which I showed you earlier, if you see. If
Okay,
I
sir.
just switch my screen, I showed you that in here, in the division perform, where division shows us the results in the, this division gives us a result in floating point format, but this float division gives us an integer. Okay. So now I hope that you understood what is the necessity of these operators and why to take this precedence into consideration. For other things, I will give you a homework. Whatever operators I'll give, they have precedence order. So you must know what is the precedence of other operators. Now on, I won't actually explain the precedence of other operators which we have, but you will have to figure them out. Then we have comparison operators. Okay. So what are these comparison operators? For example, sometimes you want to compare if two quantities are equal. Sometimes you want to see if one quantity is greater than or less than some other quantity. If some quantities are not equal to each other. For that we have what is called as comparison operators. Sometimes they are also called as relational operators, because they show actually a relation. If I have 10, it is greater than 20. There is a relation that 10 is greater than 20. Or we can say it is not equal. They are called also relational operators sometimes. Relational operators. I don't want you to like memorize the lingo. By the passage of time you'll remember this. But the most important thing is, why are they called comparison operators? Because by using them we compare, and the output of the comparison is always a boolean. It's always a true or false. It will be nothing more. For example, if I ask you a question of comparison, is 10 greater than 20? So you will either say yes or no. So comparison operators, their output, they'll just output yes or no. So in arithmetic you saw that they give an arithmetic value ranging from any real number, probably some complex numbers. There is arithmetic operators possible on complex numbers as well. But the comparison operators, what is their output? Their output is only true or false. So if I say is Sachin Tendulkar a good player than Virat Kohli, so there I am comparing something. Okay, then your answer should be in true or false. Okay, sometimes we call it a boolean logic. So the answer is either yes or either no. Everything cannot be described though in boolean logic, because sometimes, for example, arithmetic operators 10, 20, and we have a real range. But most of the things we can do in the boolean logic as well. So we'll sometimes maybe discuss separately what this boolean logic does, what are the powerful things in this boolean logic. So what I'm saying is, in comparison operators, जो output होगा वो हमेशा या तो true होगा या तो false होगा. It will not be a number. It will be nothing like that. So for example, the first operator we have is double equal to. Okay, because we use a is equal to. In maths we write the a is equal to, but this was already used for assignment. So actually we went out of the symbol, so we had to use two equals for comparison. Okay, usually in mathematics you just use one equals for the comparison. But यहाँ पे क्या है, क्योंकि हमने इसको पहले ही use किया था for assignment, so we had to use these two equal to symbols. So if I say a equal to b, it is basically meaning, is a equal to b, it will either give true result or it will give false result, one of the two. Similar for this not equal to, and similarly we have less than, then we have greater than, then we have less than equal to, then we have greater than equal to. All of these are comparison operators. If I just go to the coding screen, and you will see it there. So I have a number x and I have a number y. The first thing is I want to print, the first thing that I print is equal. So how I am doing it? Is equal to. So either it will be true or it will be false. So what do you expect it to be? Is x is equal to y. So is it equal? It is not equal. So it should give result as false, that you saw here. But the more important thing, that is you should know how to draw pictures in your mind. So whenever you see like this, your memory should work like this. So x is equal to 5, so there is a number 5 which was assigned to variable x. So there is a number 7 which was assigned to variable y. Then we had, because I told you assignment, when this interpreter works, it will first go from right then to left. Now it saw the right hand side. Now it has to evaluate. It saw x is equal to 5. Then it will perform y, 5 is equal to 7. It is no, it will write false. Then we saw this assignment statement. So this will be assigned to is equal. And then this false is assigned when we print this number, so it will be false. So that the most important thing is not to give the correct answer. The important thing here is how to form these pictures in your head. Because when somebody uses your code, you should be able to run it in your head. Then only will you become good coders. Then only when you will write, you will debug the code while writing your code at that time. So this is the picture that I want you to get created. Whenever you write the code, that code should run in your head line by line. That sometimes is called dry run. Dry run means when a human actually runs the code in his head. What should happen with the code? If I did this, so I expect this result should be there. I expect this result should be there. I'll say syntax errors are okay. If there are syntax errors, for example, you wrote something wrong, so you had to define a is equal to 5. So, but sometimes by mistake you put 1a is equal to 5. So it's a syntax error. It will be detected by Python. But there are something called as semantic errors. So semantic errors are very difficult errors. Because syntax error is not, but the answer you are getting is probably wrong. That means you haven't understood what you have wrote in the code. Syntax error will be captured by Python. But this semantic errors, you'll have to figure them out. Okay, there are a lot of types of errors. Maybe we'll have a separate section on types of errors. There are runtime errors, there are binding errors, there are a lot of errors. But broadly speaking, there are syntax errors in which you made a mistake in typing, or you did something which was not accepted by the Python interpreter. So these things can be resolved because Python will just throw an error. Semantic errors are the errors in which Python won't say it's an error. It will run and it will show a wrong output. So for that, the mistake is that you might have committed some mistake while writing the code and you didn't explain it well because your syntax was right. So that's what I'm saying. Whenever you see the statements like this, in your head you should have this picture. You should have this picture of the, okay, x is equal to 5 means 5 got created in the memory. Then this 5 was assigned to a variable named as this. Okay. So then we have this not equal to. So what should be the output of this is not equal to?
True.
It should be equal to. So 5 is not equal to 7. It should be true. Okay. So what should be, I think you'll be able to tell about all of these. I don't need to go through all of these. So I'll just test one thing. If I write 5.0 and 5, okay, I want to see if they are equal to.
Sir, it's stuck again.
Okay. So I don't want to go into all of these things that I'm saying. I'm saying, what do you expect this should give the output? 5.0 is equal to 5. So what do you say? Is it equal to 5? Is 5.0 equal to 5? Yeah, it is. In Python, it is equal to 5. But in certain languages, they don't consider floats equal to integers. So there you will have to take care. But Python has been enhanced in such a way that it says that these things are equal. Sometimes there is a data type mismatch, because this is actually a float value and this is an integer value. Now here you can compare integer with a float. Okay. So that's why it's showing true value. But in certain languages, if you write x is equal to 5.0 and then write y is equal to 5, now you say whether they are equal, this operation won't happen, because it will say these data types don't match. But Python is smart enough and it has been constructed and created in such a way that it does not bother about these small mistakes. Okay. Then we. Yes. Okay. Then it will be false. Then it will be obviously false. Yeah, now it will consider it. I'm saying 5.0, and this is the tricky part, because here human will say it's equal. But if you see how interpreters work, this x will be treated as this will be treated as a float, and this will be treated as an integer. So you are comparing an integer and a float. Some certain languages do give output as error, because they will say that I cannot compare integer and I cannot compare floats. Either both of them should be floats, both of them should be integers. But Python was designed in such a way, by having this in mind, these things this problem should be actually tackled. Okay, it's like saying this. For example, if I say x is equal to, let's say strng string, I wrote something. So what will be? There should be an error, because now this is data type of string and this is data type of an integer. So it should actually throw an error, which is say less than is not supported between str and int. You saw that thing? Because we have two different data types, string and integer. So that we are comparing. And comparison, it doesn't make sense to compare string with the integer. It's like comparing apples with oranges. Apples can be compared with apples only. How red is this apple? Yeah. How sugary is this apple? Apple cannot be compared with the orange in that domain. So, but if you write 5.0, you can still ask me the question. X was a float and y actually was an integer. How was it able to recognize this? Because when the inventors of Python, they coded it and they took this into consideration कि इन दोनों को compare करने से हमें result देना है, because they both are numbers and we can compare them. Okay, then there is a chaining rule. This chaining rule is confusing for the if you see C, there it gives confusing answers, it gives random answers. By chaining, I mean, for example, if I write something like this, if I write x, for example, let's say 2 less than 5 less than 8, something like this. So in Python, this is allowed, because in mathematics, this is allowed. What the meaning of this is, 2 is less than 5 and 5 is less than 8. If I separate it out, it basically means 2 is less than 5 and 5 is less than 8. Is 2 less than 5? True.
Yes, sir.
And is 5 less than 8?
True.
True. So both
Yes,
we have
true.
true and true. Now it will give the result as true if you see it. So if I just go to the coding window and just code this, and I'll write it. For example, I'll say print. What I write? 2 less than 5 less than 8. So it should give me the result as true. So you saw it gave the result as true. But in other languages like C, C++, this output can be, this actually is undefined. So they don't define it there. So there is chaining is possible there, though they don't define it explicitly. But you may get some answers. But in the C documentation, nothing is written about it. So there is nothing written about chaining of operators in C. Can you tell me what should be the output of, I think my screen is visible. If x is equal 5, so what is the image that you should get in the head? 5 is created as an object, then it's assigned to x. Okay, so if I print this is between 2 and 8, so this is 2 less than x less than 8. What's the meaning of this? So can somebody say what is the meaning of this?
X should be less than 2
2 should
and
be less,
8.
no, 2 should be less
No,
than
2
x,
should be less than X or greater than.
and x should be less than 8. So you
8.
put the value of 5 in here, so 2 is less than 5,
So
5
the
is less
screen
than
turned
8.
black.
It is
Screen is
equivalent
not
to this.
able-
It's actually
The
equivalent
screen
to this.
turned black.
So I'm saying, for example, here we have 2 is less than x is less than 8. Okay. So this is equivalent to 2 is less than x and x is less than 8. So what should be the answer? The output should be true, as we saw that in the previous. The output is true. If I write it like this, is less than or equal to, you can also write it like this. X is less than 2 or x is less than x is greater than 8. You can also write in Python, you can also write this, and we will go to logical operators, though I don't want to discuss it here. So we now saw what are these arithmetic operators, we saw what are comparison or relation operators. Now we'll move to what are logical operators. Okay, what are logical operators? So logical operators will also give you answer as true or false. Okay, as comparison operators, they also give you the result in true or false format. They didn't spit out a number and they didn't had a real range. They just, the answer was either true or false. Similarly, if you see the logical operators, वो भी तुम्हें answer किस में देंगे? Either true or false. So we have 3 logical operators. So first one is AND, then we have OR, then we have NOT. So how do they work? I'll say you. I'll just say how do this AND work. AND takes any number of inputs. You can say, for example, A and B and C or something like that. So when all of them are true, when all of the inputs are true, then only will AND be true. It's like saying this: अगर तो आज बारिश नहीं हुई और and then put a second statement, for example, like if I was not busy. The first statement is not raining and not busy. अगर तो बारिश नहीं हो रही थी और मैं busy नहीं था, then I'll attend the class. If both of these conditions are true, then only you will attend the class. So in दोनों conditions के true होने से पूरा statement true हो जाएगा. So in AND, what I am saying is every input should be true, then only the output will be true. Otherwise, if a single input is false, then everything will fall. If we make a truth table of this, so usually that's called a truth table. I think you might know that. So for example, we'll have 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So these are the 4 possible output. If we have A and B as our inputs, then this is the output. Let's say C. So AND gate के case में क्या होगा? This will be 0, 0, 0 and it will be 1, because here all the inputs are set. All the inputs are true, then only this will be true. This is the truth table of AND. So you can extend it beyond A, B, C. You can have multiple inputs. The only factor you must consider is अगर एक भी input false हुआ, तो everything will be false. Okay? You can have several expressions in here. For example, like this. Okay, I think my screen is visible. I'll write A is equal 10, then I'll write B is equal 20, then I'll write C is equal to 40. So what I'll write is, I'll say A is greater than B and B is less than C. So I'll
step
print
again.
this. I think it should be visible. Huh? Is it visible? Why is it? So what I'm saying is, I'm saying A is greater than B and B is greater than C. So for AND, what did I say? तो ये पहले तो ये ट्रू होना चाहिए, फिर ये ट्रू होना चाहिए, उसके बाद ये पूरी एक्सप्रेशन ट्रू होगी. Is A greater than B? It is not. So this is false. Okay. So if I run it, it should give me the result as false. There is some concept called as short circuiting. What is it called? Short circuiting. Just remember this. Short circuiting. In the short circuiting, the concept is that, for example, if you have a condition and then is AND, then there is again a condition. For example, we had A greater than B, then we had A less, for example, B less than C. So यहाँ पे कितनी condition check करें? 2. The first is this and the second is this. If the first condition itself is false, then we know that AND operation will be false. Then we don't go evaluating beyond this. Okay, so if we short circuit it right here. अगर तो false आया, then we don't go beyond. So similar thing happens with OR. Or we'll see what is short circuiting in OR. So I mean by short circuiting, if something is false at some place with respect to AND, तो वहीं के वहीं operation रुक जाता है, then it won't perform any operation. Okay, so for example, if A is greater than B, so here this will get evaluated, and when it is false, it won't check even this, it won't even check this. So because here we know that if a single condition of AND is false, everything is false. But if it is true, then only we'll move it to this B less than C wala part. So this is called short circuiting. Did you understand short circuiting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
By short circuit, I meant for if we have multiple expressions and there is AND in between. So it will go from left to right. Whenever it finds an expression that's for, it will stop there. It won't go further. क्योंकि यहाँ पे question ये है, because with AND, if a single condition is false, everything will be false. So we don't check further. So this is the AND operation, logical AND. Then we have something called as logical OR. Logical OR says if at least one output, if at least one input is true, then the output will be true. For example, कभी ऐसे हम लोग बोल सकते हैं कि अगर तो sunny day था या मेरे दोस्त आए, then I'll go to the class. So if there is a sunny day, then I'll come. If there अगर तो मेरे दोस्त आए, then I'll come. Like either one of them should be true. So if in this OR case, at least one should be true. At least one should be true. So if I have to make a truth table, let's say A is the input, B is the input, and C is output. C is equal A or B. So I'll say 0 and 0. It means both of them are false. So this will be false. One of them is true. It will be true. Both of them are true. It will also be true. Okay. So this is the condition in OR. So you can also think logically. Why are we called this logic? Because this is how humans think. So if we say to somebody कि अगर तो sunny day हुआ या तुम आ गए, then I'll come to the class. So he अगर तो sunny day नहीं था, but he came to the class, he can ask you a question. तुम क्यों नहीं आए? Because I came. तुमने बोला था कि अगर sunny day हुआ या मैं आया, but I came. So one condition was true. Okay. So here we also have short circuiting. If we have an expression that is followed by R, then we have an expression, or maybe followed by other R, then we have other expression. Where if there is one single truth, then we will short circuit it. We won't go further. यहाँ पे अगर मुझे मिला कि ये ट्रू है, then we won't go further. तो वहीं पे शॉर्ट सर्किट कर देंगे और बता देंगे कि इसका वैल्यू ट्रू है. Similar thing will happen. अगर यहाँ पे false था, तब हम लोग आगे जाएंगे. So you saw difference in short circuit between AND and OR. In AND, if there is a false somewhere, result will be false. In OR, if result is true somewhere, then result will be true. Beyond that, we won't go. So this is called short circuiting in these operators, logical AND OR. Okay. So let's just move to the screen. So you can see it here. So is sunny true? Is warm true? So the first thing that should get into your head is there is an object true and it got assigned to this is sunny. There is an object false, is got assigned to is warm. Then we say is good weather, is sunny and warm. So logical AND means if both of them are true, then this is good weather will be true. So what will be the output of this is good weather? What do you say? So what should be the output of this? Hello, am I audible? So what should be the output of this? Because here I am saying is sunny is a variable which is true. Is warm is a variable that is false. So here we have true and false. So what should be the answer of this? True and false is right. So we should get the false as a result. It is false. Okay. So is hiking day, is sunny or, so what should be the result of or here, if you see it? What should be the result? It should be true because one of them is true. Okay. Then not, what it does is, not will just flip whatever it is there. If it is, for example, if we write as not of true, for not is written like this. If we say not true, it will give false. If we say not false, it will give true. And not just flips the operation. If you say something is not, that means like you are in favor of the other thing. If I am saying he is not a boy, that means it's a girl. The reverse thing is there. So the similar thing will happen here. If I am saying here is sunny is true, then if I am saying is rainy is not sunny, so it will convert this true into false. This is called logical not. So if I have to write this truth table, it's simple. We have just one input and one output. So it will be 0, then it will be 1, it will be 1, it will be 0. The thing that you have to understand is AND can take any number of inputs, OR can take any number of inputs, but this NOT, it just takes one input. Okay, it takes only one input. It cannot perform another inputs, because as I show, there are only two possibilities. If it's yes, then it turns it into no. If it is no, then it turns it into yes. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
If you have questions, I'll wait here for a brief time. You can ask me questions. Based on all of these, I'll ask you some complex questions for GitHub. Actually, I'll give you a code snippet.
In C language, we have to use the signs of and or. But in Python, we have to write
Yes,
and
yes,
or.
yes, yes. That's why I said the basic motto of this creating this language was code readability and ease of use. So that's why they have changed this ampersand into and. That's the design philosophy of this. The design philosophy of Python was the code should be easy to write and it should be easy to read. I told you that every language when it is created is a design philosophy. The design philosophy of Python was ease of use. If you see the design philosophy of C is that it should be fast. It doesn't matter that if it is going to kill you, it will kill you, but it will make the program faster. Python का ऐसा नहीं है. C का ऐसा है कि I don't think dinosaurs को आना है. I don't think if your building will collapse, but I want my program to be fast. That's it. It will do everything to make your program fast. And Python will make everything to make your code readable and make your code easy to write. That's why we have changed these symbols and to and in C you might have seen even or is written by this double slash. Here we wrote or directly. So whenever you have these questions, just go design philosophy कि जो creator था उसने language क्यों बनाई, because he has this design philosophy in hand. Okay, I think these logical operators are not clear. So we first learnt about arithmetic operators, then we saw comparison or relational operators, then we saw logical operators. Now we have assignment operators. In assignment operator, I think we have also covered assignment. Assignment means assigning something. Assignment operators is now if you perform any operation, for example, you perform multiplication, you perform division, floor division, and you want to assign it to some variable. There are shorthand notations like this. So if you write, for example, a plus equal to 1, it will add 1 to a. So right here, if you see the screen, if I write a is equal 10, and I write a plus is equal 15, so I'll write then print a. So what should be the output of this program? It should be, output of this should be
2.
No. If you see it, it is plus equal to. So what will do? It will add this 15 to this 10. So it will make it 25. Because first it's adding, then it's assigning. So this operation is equivalent to this a plus equal to 15. It is equivalent to first add a plus 15 and then assign it to a. This is equal to this. This is the shorthand notation of this side. So just to show you it in the code window to make the things clear, let's go to this. For example, if we have a is equal 15, then we have a plus equal to 10. That means I'll print a now. So if I print a, you can see the result is 25. This is also equivalent. If I write, it can be written as like this: a equal to a plus 15. Okay, so it will again show the same result. Oh, I went to again to the keywords. I'll share all these notes with you, huh? So we're here. So if you see, it showed 30 result. Can somebody say why did it show 30 result? Because a was 15 and it was 15. So here we just tried 10 and I can also show 10 here to just get the output as what we expect it to be. So I'll again move the screen. So I'm saying this a plus equal to b. This is equivalent to a is equal to a plus b. So what is it doing? It's first performing the addition, then performing the assignment. Similar thing with all other operators. This is called subtract and assign. If you subtract the thing, then assign. Multiply and assign. Similar things will happen here. So when you will read your code, you will do 3 tasks usually. So first thing is you will write your own code. So this will be the most chunk of your life. When you are beginning with your programming journeys, like most of the time, probably 90% of time will be around this. If you want to learn, you will be writing the code. The second thing is you will be reading the code. Reading some other people's code. So you must know all of these when you will be reading the code. So if you are a beginner, you will be probably assigning 10% time. But when you go to intermediate level, there you won't write much code. There you will be, for example, assigning 40% of time to reading others' code, maybe 60%. But when you become advanced level developer and you don't need to write much code, you just need to check the code. That's called sometimes refactoring. Refactoring means to make the existing code better. For example, you are a senior developer in a company, or you are a senior developer, for example, for some firm or something. So they will assign you mostly this refactoring, how to make this code better, how to write good documentation. That time probably you will invest 70% of your time just reading the code of other people, and making it better, and saying, oh, I think this chunk of code is not good, I think this should be written in this way, and you will just rewrite the code. For that you must understand the code. That's why I'm telling you to look at this nitty-gritty. You must understand this, because people do write code like this and you have to understand that code. Okay, just showing you the programming things again of the assignment. I have performed every operation in here, and you can also sort of test this code and print all these numbers, that and you'll get expected answers. उसके बाद हम लोग आते हैं, then we have something called as bitwise operators. So till now we have seen arithmetic operators, then we saw comparison or relational operators, then we saw logical operators, then we saw assignment operators. Now we'll see bitwise operators. What these bitwise operators are. You know, everything down the line is actually a bit. In computers, everything is a bit. Whether you are watching a video, whether you are seeing a image, whether you are listening to some music, whether you are having everything on anything on the screen, everything is basically bits if you see it under the hood. So everything is actually manipulated. The bits are manipulated, then some answers in. And I assume here that you know binary. If I write a number, for example, like this, 1, 1, you know it's 3. In binary it is 3. Because it will help in this bitwise operators. So what these bitwise operators are, they act on bit level. They don't act on the number level. For example, if I say true and false, and if I write true and false, it is actually false. So, but these bitwise operators, they'll act on bits. For example, if I write 2, bitwise and is like this, and 3. So what will happen actually is, this 2 will be written in binary format. 2 in binary is 1, 0. And 3 in binary is 1, 1. So then and operation will be performed on bits 1, 0, 1, 1. So we'll perform and of this. So it will be 0. So now 1, 1 will be, in the and form it is 1. So the output will be 2. So let me just show the because you know AND operation, I said bitwise, and I'll again go to the coding window just to demonstrate some things. If we have A is equal to let's say 7, B is equal to let's say 3, and we want to print A and B. Okay. So just coming back here, we had A is equal to 7, B is equal to 3. A is equal to 7, B is equal to 3. And I want to perform A and B. So what will happen actually is, this 7 will be converted into binary first. 7 in binary is, this is, if you write like 0, 2, 4 like that, it is 1, 1?
0, 1, 1, 1.
0, 1, 1, that means 3 ones basically. So this
No,
is
sir,
your,
0, 1, 1.
so triple 1 is actually the 7, because it is 4, 2 and 1.
8, 4, 2, 1.
So this is 1, 1, 1. And 3 is 0, 1, 1.
0, 1, 1.
So you have to perform AND of these. 1, 1 is 1. 1 and 1 is 1. 1 and 0 is 0. So what will be the answer? Answer will be 3.
3.
So if I just run this cell, the output should be 3. You can see the output is 3. Let's say a bigger number, 15. So can you do it? Can you do it on your own? 7 and 15. I'll just print 7 and 15. Tell me the answer. Everybody open your copies, pens, write 7 and 15. 7 and operation of 15. So what will be the answer? So what will be the answer? Right. So anybody else? Some other answers? 7. Yes, the answer will be 7. If I run it, it will be 7. So what if I write 14 in here? So what will be the answer? Just last question on this, and then we will move to all. So we have 7, then we have 14. So what will be the answer? Nice, it will be 6. So if you run this cell, it will be 6. Now you understand how bitwise operations are done on the internal level. Why do we perform bitwise operations? So it will convert the numbers into bits first, then it will perform the operation on the bits. Similar thing with the OR. So if I write 7 and 14, 7 or 14, so what will be the output? Can somebody calculate it? I want you to calculate, to bring up your pens and then do calculations. So if I run it, the answer is 15. So exclusive OR, do you know exclusive OR operation? Do you know exclusive OR XOR operation? So I'll just, for those people who don't know exclusive, this is sometimes called as, for example, if I have 1 and 0. So if I perform OR of these 1 and 0, so it is actually 1. Then I'll modulo 2, I'll perform a remainder operation of this. So this will be equal to 1. So it's called exclusively OR, that only one input should be equal to 1. Only one input should be equal to true. But it can also take multiple inputs. That's why this modulo 2 is more important. So if I write 1, 1, 0. So if I perform exclusive OR of these operator, so what will be the OR of this? OR will be, again, if I have to modulo 2, then you have to add these. 1 plus 1 is 2. So 2 modulo 2 is equal to 0. So output will be 0. So do you understand how XOR works? So you might have only heard that XOR works on 2 inputs, but it also works on multiple inputs. If I have 1, 1, 0, 1, something like this, and you have to perform XOR operation of this, so you have to add these numbers. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, modulo 2 is 1, so answer will be 1. That's why it's called a modulo 2 gate, or sometimes modulo 2. So if I have 1, 1, 1, 1 4 times, so this is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, it's 4 modulo 2, it will be 0. That's how its truth table is called. Like for 2 inputs A and B, I'll say 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, so it will be 0, because 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 modulus 2 is 0, so 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 modulus 2 is 1, 1 plus 0 is again 1, 1 modulus 2 is 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 modulo 2 is 0. That's how this bitwise XOR works. Okay, now again giving a question to you on the screen. So what will be 7 exclusive OR? It's written like this. 7 XOR 14. So what will it be? Let me add another number, probably, like to confuse you a bit. C is equal 2 and XOR 2. Then now we have 3 inputs. So 7, 14 and 2, you have to XOR them.
Sir, screen is shifted.
Can you see 7, 14 and 2? A is equal 7, B is equal 14, C is equal 2. Can you just say what is the A exclusive or B exclusive or C? Seven, then we have 14, then we have 2. So what should be the exclusive or operation of this? Come on with the answers. So what should be the answer? Is it taking more time? Zahid, are you computing the answer? Zubair, is this hard for you? Am I audible? So are you calculating the answers? You think 1. So let's just validate it and see if you are right. 11, huh? So people are getting 11. I think I also got 11, so it is 11. So I just wanted to show you the answer. So first, if you write 7, 7 is this. So if you write, we had 7, 14 and 2, 14 and 2. So now you have triplet of numbers. If you see 1, 0, 0, so the sum of numbers is 1, modulo 2 is 1. Then we have 3 ones, the sum is 3, 3 modulo 1 is again 1. Then we have 2 ones, that's 2. 2 modulo 2 is 0. Then again we have 1, so we can write 1. So the answer is actually 11. I think there will be a calculation mistake, but I hope that you got the point of XOR, how the XOR performs the operations and how these bitwise operators are being done. So am I clear with this? So should I move on with left shift, right shift and bitwise NOT? Okay. Then we have bitwise NOT. Bitwise NOT, it flips every bit. For example, if I am given A is equal to 12. So 12 is 1, 1, 0, 0. Okay. So if I perform NOT of this, what it will do is 0, 0, 1. It will flip every bit. So this will be equal to 3. So if I write A is equal to 12, then I'll perform NOT of A and print this. So the
The
answer
screen
should
is
be.
not visible.
Is it visible for other people?
Yes, sir.
I think there is some problem with your machine. So again, I am shifting to the Chrome. I am showing you, for example, if A is equal to 7, I am performing not of A. Can anyone say what will be the answer for not of A? Because A is equal to 7, so the 7 is 1, 1 and 1. So it will flip every bit. So the answer will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 in binary is 0. So 0, 0, 0, what is the answer? What should be the answer? Like there is a surprise for you, like how, because that's why I told you like binary. So why should it be 8?
4-bit.
Why do you consider that it's 4-bit? Who told you it's 4-bit? So that's why I told you should know this complementary numbers. If I run it, the answer should be actually how it is. Have you heard about this 2's complement?
Yes, sir.
2's complement. So it will perform 2's complement operation right now. So I'll urge you to look in the 2's complement, because if I start speaking of 2's complement, it will again take 10-15 minutes. The answer will actually be 8, but it will be minus 8. Why it will be
Yes,
minus 8? Because one bit will be flipped at the end.
Yes,
So
sir.
for example, if I run this, so I think my screen is visible now. So if I run this, it is minus 8. So how I want to show you, just like bear with me. So actually there was a run of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and we had 1, 1, 1 was 7. So when it flipped the bits, everything here was made as 1. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then we had last 3 zeros. Okay? So in 2's complement number, the first digit shows as a sign. Okay, it shows as a sign. So here we had 1, so the sign was negative. Then all of these numbers, it means 8. That's why it showed negative 8. Okay? That's how 2's complement works. So the first bit in every number in 2's complement is actually a sign. So if it is 1, it means negative sign. If it is 0, it means positive sign. So that's why it shows minus 8, because we had 0, 0, 0. We had 1, 1, 1. So, but it was followed by the run of zeros. But when we performed NOT operation, everything was converted into 1 followed by 3 zeros. But now the sign bit was negative, and the value of this in 2's complement is 8. That's why it was shown as minus 8. Is that clear? Is that clear? Show
Yes,
thumbs
sir.
up, something.
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice.
Sorry to interrupt, but can you please explain me again this XOR operation on 7, 14, and 2?
Yes. So here I'll explain it. I think my screen is visible. So 7 was actually 1, 1 and 1. Is that okay? And we had
Yes,
14
sir.
and we had 2. This was 7, then we had 14. 8, 4 and 2 and 0. This was 14 and this was 7. And then we had 2, 2 is equal to 1, 0, like this. Now we are performing XOR on these three bits first. Let me just change the color. I'll just change the color 1, 0 and 0, I think. So now I am performing exclusive OR on 3 bits. So I said it's called modulo 2. So modulo 2 means you have to sum up all the bits. So sum of these is 1. So 1 modulo 2 is equal to 1. So I wrote 1 here. So now we have 3. So 3 modulo 2 is equal to again 1. So I wrote 1 here. Then we have 2. 2 modulo 2 is equal to 0. So I wrote 0 here. Again 1 modulo 2 is equal to 1. So I wrote 1 here. 1, 0, 1, 1. So this is 8, 4, 2, 1. So this is 11. If you know the conversion of binary to decimal.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So this is how it is done. So the most important thing I was telling you about the 2's complement. So we had a number A is equal to, so we put it equal to 7. So I said not A, it is giving equal to, answer was equal to minus 8. I was explaining that. So I said negative numbers are stored in machines in 2's complement. So 2's complement actually is minus 7 was written as like this, 1, 1, 1. Then it was followed by a run of zeros. So when it was flipped, all the bits were flipped. So we got a run of ones, then followed by 3 zeros. In 2's complement, the first bit is called sign bit. It's called the most significant bit. It's called sign bit. So sign bit shows the sign. If it is 1, then we call it a negative number. If it is 0, then we call it a positive number. So if everything is followed by, everything is preceded by 0 then 1, then it's a positive number. So here we had positive 7. That's why it was followed by zeros. Now we have the sign bit. If you can see, this is sign bit. Then the value of 2's complement, the value of this number in 2's complement is 8. Then that's why the answer was minus 8. This is how we perform the bitwise NOT operation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then we have left shift and right shift. Okay, it's again like these bitwise operations are sometimes tricky. That's why you have to be a little bit more clear with them. You have to write things in bits. Left shift means you are left shifting a number. For example, if I write 2 left shift by 1, that means number 2. For example, number 2 is represented as 1 0, and it's a run of zeros are there because it's a positive number. So if I left shift by 1, that means I will truncate the 0 down. I left shift it. So only number 1 will be left. So the answer will be 1. Okay, if I have, for example, number 15 with me. So 15 is 1, 1, 1 and 1 and followed by run of zeros. If I write 15 left shift by 3, so 3 places will be shifted. So now this will be truncated down. So the answer will be 1 again. If I write 18, 18 is 16 and 2. Okay, then followed by 0. So if in binary, if you don't know how to write, so we write 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. And if I have to write number 18, so 16, 1 and 2 is 18 and rest are zeros. Okay, then if I want to perform left shift on this by a number, for example, let's say 1. So it will just cut down the 0 and the rest of the number 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 will be considered. Okay, I'll just ask you a question on the code and I want to see the input. So we have 7 here. So what if I write A left shift by 2? So what will be the output? Now you will have to write the 7 into binary, then shift 2 bits. Shift 2 bits by left. So what should be the answer? Are you able to? Is everybody able to understand why why it should be the answer? Like if he is saying it's 1.
We truncate the last 2.
We truncate the last 2 bits. If you see it, actually, screen is not visible. So here I am shifting this, and it should truncate the last 2 bits. Answer should be 1. Okay. I think, is my screen visible? So it is visible. So here I have shifted, for example, sorry, it was actually right shift is there, but I told you left shift. So I perform it by right shift. I mean you have to shift it right and truncate those digits. Okay, so this is the right shift operator. That's why I wrote it right, and answer was correct even. So I wrote 7 is equal to 1, 1 and 1 followed by a bunch of zeros. So when 7 was right shift by 2, so you have to move the right and you have to truncate the digits. So in right shift you truncate, and in left shift you will add the digits. You will add these number of zeros. So for example, here the 7 was 0, 0 followed by 1, 1, 1. This was 7. So when I perform the right shift, I'll truncate these, for example 2. If I truncate it down 2. If it has left shift, then we'll add these number of zeros. If 7 is we are having a left shift of 2, then what we will do, 0, 0 followed by 1, 1 and 1. Then we'll add 2 zeros here. So what will be the output then? So I'll just write it. Left shift means add zeros at the end. Add zeros. And right shift means truncate these many bits. Truncate. So this you have to memorize. Left shift, when you are doing a left shift, it means you have to add these many zeros. Right shift means you have to truncate these many digits at the end. It is, for example, if this is a pen, if I want left shifted, by left shift I mean I'll move it left and other bits will be 0. Right shift means it will go out to the window. So I understand the analogy. So right shift, when I'm, for example, this is the starting point. If you are seeing my finger, so if I'm left shifting, so left shift means this, and then this space is filled by zeros. The right shift means you are truncating down. Okay. So what should be the output of left shift of 7 by 2 bits? So I'll show the code, and here we have right shift. I'll right shift it by 2. So what should be the output? The output should be 11100. Can you convert it into binary? I'll just wait for 1 minute for your answers. $28. Nice. If you run it, it should. I'm again putting a right shift, so I have to put a left shift of 2. Left shift means 28. So you get the number 28 in here. Are you able to see the output? So how many of you are confident that if given any expression and bitwise operators, you will be able to evaluate it on your own? You don't need an interpreter. You will be able to evaluate. Can you just give thumbs up? Like have your hands ready. Nice. Nice. Now we'll move to the next operators. Can we move to the other operators? To just summarize, we started with arithmetic operators, then conditional or relational operators, then bit logical operators, then we started with bitwise operators, and in between we also read about assignment operators. And now we'll shift to membership operators. Membership means if something is or is not. For example, if I say Muhammad Zubair, he is the student of this class. Or I can say Sharika Mushtaq, she is the student of this class. So she belongs. Membership means she belongs to. If I am saying for some random name, let's suppose Sharik. Sharik is not the member. So membership means it either is present or is not present. Okay, so if you see my screen here, I have written that membership operator used to test a sequence is present if something is present or absent. In is used if it is present, and not in is used if it's absent. To just show you the code example here, I have a list of fruits: apple, banana, and cherry. If I write is apple in fruits, so I am writing apple in fruits. So this should give answer true because it is present. Is pear here? Pear not in fruits. So this should also give true because pear is not in the fruits. If we run this code, if we go on the coding window, so here you can see we have a list of fruits: apple, banana, and cherry. So here I'll just print, for example, this variable a. Let's call it a, and print of a. So what should be the output? Because apple is in this list, it is in the list. It should be true. That's what you saw here. It is in list. So if I say, for example, pear is. So pear is not in the fruit list of these fruits. So if you see it should be false. So because pear is not available in this list. So if you see pear is not, not in, we'll write not in. So it should be true because it is true. Pear is not in the fruits. So it should be true. So did you got what is the meaning of membership operators? Membership operators mean if something is present or is absent. So if we want to check membership, we'll say is or in, or we'll say not in. Okay, I hope this is clear for you. Then we have is and not. We have something called as identity operators. We have something called as identity operators. For identity operators, we want to actually compare the memory locations. For example, if I say here, if you see this code, x is a list of numbers 1, 2, and 3. I am saying y is equal to x. So that picture should pop up into your head. So we are actually making 1, 2, 3 is a list. So this is an object. It is getting the value x. So when I am saying y is equal to x, another y is formed. Again, this is equal to this. So two pointers, two locations share the same memory. So if you say x and y, they are pointing to the same object 1, 2, 3. So is this the same object? If I say x is y, is it true or false? Is it true or false? Like x is y, is it true or false?
True.
It is true because they are actually pointing to the same location. That's why I am saying, always saying this picture is very important. Here I am saying list of 1, 2, 3. This is what will happen, and then it will be assigned to x. Then when we say y is equal to x, it means this y will point to this x. This y will actually point to this 1, 2, 3. It point to the same location. So that's why we have this is or is not. So usually we use is. So is x is equal to y. So just going in the code window, showing you this is same object. We can print it. Print, for example, is the same object. It should be true because it is actually the same object. So here you can see it is true. Okay, last we have this is called ternary operator, but we'll look this ternary operator into control flow. So next we are going to see control flow. Today I was thinking that I'll also cover control flow and functions, but I think operators took a lot of time. So have you understood everything related to whatever we today discussed? And if you have some questions, you can ask me, because I think it has been 8:29. It has been more than, I think, 1 hour 40 minutes. Was it boring though? I am open to the questions. If you want to ask me questions, you can ask me questions related to anything. And next we'll learn control flows followed by functions, and then I think object oriented program. Then we'll be done with Python. Then we can move on to the Python libraries like NumPy, Pandas, and scikit-learn. So here the path for the path I am following is I want to take you till object oriented programming. From that there is a lot of Python again, but the thing is I wanted to cover Pandas, and then I'll cover matplotlib. I'll also try to cover probably Seaborn and I think NumPy as well. So these or three libraries, Seaborn maybe it can be covered separately. So these three libraries I'll cover after we are done with Python. Then we can move to the machine learning algorithms. But while I am teaching machine learning algorithms, sometimes I will deviate and I'll go into the mathematics. I'll go into probability and statistics because I won't take them as separate chapters or something like that. When we are having a need of explaining the probability, I'll explain those things. Okay? I hope there is no question. If there is a question, I'll just wait for 30 seconds and then we can leave. It was actually wonderful interacting with you and you actually tried your best to give good answers. I hope that you will again learn and probably if somebody has confusions, he can rewatch this session. And I'll also provide the materials for the students. If you do not have question, then I'll take a leave. Assalamu alaikum everyone.